Hi, Ashera Star Goddess. I'm back. I'm having a bad hair day, but I still said I was going to record. Okay, I'm not going to let it get to me. All right. So the lesson that we're going to be learning today in alchemy. Do I look like a school teacher? We're going to be learning out of the Complete Idiot's Guide to Alchemy. My #1 recommended book. Okay, so we're going to be learning about the sacred marriage. Now, are you asking yourself, do I have to be married? Do I have to know someone? No, this is spiritual alchemy, and it is done within. Okay, the spiritual alchemy that entails the sacred marriage represents the right and the left brain coming together as one. Represents the masculine and the feminine coming together as one. It represents the inner and the outer becoming one. Okay, it represents the Christos consciousness. Okay, the Philosopher's Stone, basically. So if you have this book, this is on page 236. I feel like a school teacher, like seriously. Okay, so the sacred marriage in you. I'm going to read from this book, okay? Take a deep breath. Okay, the sacred marriage on the personal level is the marriage of the sun, masculine, and the moon, feminine, okay? Within, up in here, the union of your own spirit with soul to produce a new empowered presence. That sounds very interesting. The alchemist saw this as a passionate coming together of the elements, fire and water. And what do you get when you mix fire and water? Steam, energy, something that pushes upward, you know, power, force, bam. Okay. Okay, so it's an act of inner love that united all the opposing forces within a person. Okay, that sounds a little bit deep. Let me break that down. Okay. Inner love that united all the opposing forces within a person, controlling your emotions and using logic and making a decision based on both put together. Okay, not just one, not the other, but both emerge. Okay. The sacred marriage is the creation of a whole new personality. Okay, a lot of you guys say, I don't believe that you're a Pisces. You don't act like a Pisces. You're so in control of your emotions. You're so this, you're so that. Because I'm in a sacred marriage with myself. So when you start to think like this, your whole personality changes. Okay, it becomes more perfected, stronger where it was weak before. Okay, it also is mentioned in the Gospels of Thomas. Okay, for you guys that are interested in that. Okay, there was a part left out of the Bible, or that was not put in the Bible, the Gospels of Thomas, which talks about, you know, the real Jesus, or, you know, the alchemy side of Jesus, that was left out of the Bible. If you believe in Jesus, I'm more of a person who feels like if Jesus was real, he was an alchemist. So I'm going to read you a little bit from the Gospels of Thomas. Supposedly Jesus said this. Okay, when you make the two one, and when you make the inside like the outside, and the outside like the inside, and the above like the below, and when you make the male and the female one and the same, then you will enter the kingdom of God. Okay, so that means when you merge the right and the left brain, the masculine and the feminine, when you are working on your inside as well as your outside, your your outward appearance matches your inner appearance, then you have entered into the kingdom of God, which is the sacred marriage, which is being able to make higher conscious decisions, you know, emotionally in control of yourself. A more perfected version of yourself prior to the sacred marriage. For example, women are more emotional, men are more logical. So if you're going to base a decision or make a choice purely by emotion, then you might not feel that same way in 10 minutes from now, and you might have made a huge mistake. If you make a decision based on logic and someone got offended because they felt like you just don't care, you're all about, you know, money, or you're all about you know, what makes sense on paper, but what about how I feel? You know, if you make decisions only based on logic, you're going to lose a lot of friends, okay? You're going to lose a lot of profit because, you know, if you're in business, you have to appeal to females, and, you know, emotional things appeal to females. That's why when they make commercials, they put all the facts about the product in there, and then they throw some emotional scenario in there, like with a family or whatever, you know. They have to mix it because they have to appeal to both. You know what I'm saying? If they only appealed to men, it would be straight up facts, some boring colors, and then the commercial would go off, right? That's what they do when they sell razors. Now, if they're selling to a family or women or like some type of food, let's take cereal, for example. They're going to put a whole family in there, some kids, some cute kids, some puppies. They're going to throw all that in there, and then they're going to tell you the nutrition facts and stuff like that with the cereal. Whole grain, blah, 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 gluten-free, blah, 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 blah. They're going to tell you all that logical stuff so that you can make an informed decision when you buy the product. Okay, this is called the spiritual sacred marriage, okay? And you can use this in your everyday life when you're making decisions, you know, especially in relationships and things like that. You know, if you're not happy or satisfied with the person that you're with, you need to think about the logical side of it and the emotional side of it. Don't make decisions based on one side, because you will always regret it later on. Because, for one, you have two sides of your mind. You know, you have right brain and left brain. And eventually when you get over the emotional side of things, you're going to start thinking logically, and you're going to be regretful of the decision you made in haste, more like a reaction that you made, okay? So, just like in the song Billie Jean, Michael Jackson says, remember to always think twice. Think as a woman, think as a man, merge the thoughts, and there's your answer, okay? If you ask a man and a woman the exact same question, okay, you have a poor village, and you ask a woman, how would you improve the circumstances of this village? What would you do? Okay, the woman would probably start with the children, getting the women and children taken care of medically, get them fed, you know, nurturing side of things, emotional side of things that tear at her heartstrings, right? If you get the man involved, they're going to say, well, we need to build something, a well, we need to plant crops, we need agriculture, we need A, B, C, and D, so that these people can start making money and having food and blah, blah, blah. Okay? Well, if you merge those two together, the kids are going to be fed, medically taken care of, the mothers are going to be good, and then the men are going to have the agriculture and, you know, the well and things like that. So everything is going to prosper for the better, you know. But, you know, men might overlook that kids need immediately, you know, to be helped at that right moment in time. They're going to be looking logically at the problem, like, well, you need to grow food, you need to grow crops, you need a well. Well, those crops and that well is going to take time to build. But what about these kids that are hungry right now? What are you going to do now? That's when the woman comes in, okay? Or the feminine side, or the moon, okay? So we need both. It's always said that any great alchemist has a male, if they're female, or a female, if they're male, always in their life so that they can learn. Because the more feminine energy that you're around, the easier it is for you to think as a woman. You know, how would my wife think about this? This is like another reason why people get married, because it helps their brains merge into one. Like, for example, if a husband goes to the grocery store and he's going to say, well, what would my wife buy? You know, or if he's shopping, you know, for clothing or something for the kids, well, what will my wife buy? What's appropriate? You know, he's going to go right into the feminine mind because he's going to be thinking like his wife. He's gotten to know his wife so well, he knows what she's going to say, think, and do. Now, when the woman goes somewhere to get her car fixed or, you know, something like that, she's going to say, well, what would my husband ask? You know, what would he do in this situation? You know, would he do the research first? Is he going to just go take his car anywhere to get it fixed? Or is he going to go online and research parts, labor, the average price of blah, 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 before he goes and gets his car, you know, serviced? You know, then the woman is thinking like the man, very logical. So, because, you know, in the beginning, she might have just took it somewhere, got ripped off, and then the husband heard about it, and he was like, no, you have to do this. You know, you got to go research, you got to do this, you got to do that, and that's how you know if you're getting ripped off. So just by knowing that, the woman can now think as the man, and her husband, the man, can now think as a woman, you know, and they're better balanced emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. They're able to make better decisions, you know, versus, you know, take a single woman who's been single all her life, and then, you know, throw her into a relationship real quick. Everything that guy does, she's gonna say it's wrong. She's gonna say, oh no, that's not how you do it. Oh no, no, no. She's gonna react. And then the man, if he's been single for a long time and you throw him into a relationship with a woman, he's gonna be like, oh no, I can't take all of this. This is too much feelings and emotions. Ugh. Let me just go watch TV. I just gotta get away from you. Don't talk to me as soon as I walk in the door. I just want some time to myself. You know, shut up. You know, so that's, you know, what marriage is. It's merging of the two into one. That's why, like, when you get married, you have the candles and you light one candle together, because that represents the male and the female merging as one spiritually. Okay, so a lot of married men will be more calm, more sensitive, more able to show their emotions and feelings versus a single man. Okay, and a married woman will know more about cars, about, you know, finances, about lots of things that men are normally, you know, in control of. They will know how to fix stuff, like fix the garbage disposal, fix the sink. They'll know how to do all that because they've been watching and observing and learning and using logic versus picking up the phone to call a handyman. You know, I know how to fix everything in my house. Not from my husband, but from my stepdad, because he don't know how to fix nothing. Anyways. But I know how to fix almost everything in my house. If I can't fix it, I'll call somebody. But I'm like a fixer. Like, I know I'm like a puzzle person. I can figure stuff out. And, you know, I learn from a man. And I feel like, you know, sometimes men are like really super logical, right? And they like to take the hard way or the long route, the logical route, when a woman knows the shortcut. Okay, like, I know shortcuts to stuff, and my husband will take the long, you know, the long way, because it's logical and it makes sense to him. So, for example, if, like, let me think of a really good example. Okay, so we were trying to figure out something, right? He's looking in a newspaper. He's looking in old mail. He's looking for a phone number. Okay, this is probably because he's old. But I'm like, Siri, what's the number to such and such, Siri? And he's like, duh, you know. But women tend to find easier routes to things because, you know, they're more creative, like mentally. And men seem to take the technical route with things. Like most men would Google or, you know, research something online versus asking Siri. That's just, you know, what I've observed personally. I'm not sure. But yeah, anyway, so the sacred marriage used in everyday life will help you make better decisions, wiser decisions, help your personality evolve to a higher state. If you're like weak in certain areas, it will strengthen those areas. Just like a lot of women feel like they can't speak their mind or their voice sometimes. Well, if you merge the masculine and the feminine, you'll be able to speak your voice. You know, you speak and be heard. That's the masculine. Okay, a feminine, the feminine aspect would be to say it nicely and with manners, with respect, you know, and making sure that people are comfortable. Okay, the masculine part of it would be to make yourself heard and, you know, people listen. So a lot of women, you know, when they speak, no one really pays attention to them. They don't listen. They're like, well, what is she talking about? You know, they're going to turn off the video in 5 seconds because the person or the woman is not catching the attention. Okay. The masculine side of it, you make eye contact and you speak. Like, you don't talk. You don't just talk like this. You're just like, okay, well, you know, anyway, so that's all I have to say about that. That's not going to get your attention. You have to be direct. Be direct. You know, look into the people's face. Talk. Move around so they see you and have to pay attention to you. Wear some red lipstick so they got something to focus on, okay? Talk. Don't mumble. Don't talk, okay? This is how a lot of women get overspoken by men. They're like, especially in the workplace, you know, a lot of times in these meetings, a woman will have an idea and she'll just be like so soft spoken and, well, you know, if we did it, you gotta be very masculine at that moment. Now, when it's time to be feminine, you draw back your masculinity, you know, you become the female. You know, when you're with a masculine man, you become the female. You know, when you react to something, you become the merge. You know, you think on both sides. You don't react as a female and you don't react as a male. You react as the merge. Some people call it the purple rain, okay? Because that's the color of that crown chakra. So purple being blue and red, feminine being the blue color, which is like water, and masculine being the red, which is fire. And you put those two together, you have purple. Okay, so you know, a lot of the music artists did show, you know, the sacred marriage on their outside as well as their inside, like Michael Jackson and Prince. They were very androgynous, and you know, just like the insert from the Gospels of Thomas said, you know, when you make the male as the female and the female as the male, then that's when you enter into the kingdom of God, which is, you know, the Christos consciousness, okay? It says, when you make the male and the female one and the same, you will enter the kingdom of God. And if y'all don't believe me, check it out. They wouldn't put that in the Bible because y'all know people would take that literal. Oh, we got to dress and drag. That's why I always say, you know, if you look at the photos in this book, the pictures in this book, they're not really photos, but they're more like wood carvings. You'll see the hermaphrodite a lot in alchemy because it represents the merge of the male and the female, okay? The male and the female consciousness merged as one. And I'm trying to find the picture. So if you always wonder why do you see this two-headed hermaphrodite looking weird character in the alchemy books, well, that's part of the sacred marriage. Okay, if I can just find the picture. I think it's in the beginning, but it's very interesting. And the word hermaphrodite, or the name hermaphrodite, comes from Hermes and Aphrodite. So here we go. There's a picture of it. Half male, half female. Okay, that represents the merge and the sacred marriage within. Okay, a lot of women have to take on the masculine role of men sometimes because of single motherhood, and they lose a lot of their feminine energy, which which is needed. You know what I mean? So if you find yourself being more masculine than you are feminine, you need to find a way to balance that out with looks, with some type of feminine activity that you can do, some type of girls' night out, makeover, spa day, being pampered, things like that. You need to really balance it out and remind yourself that you are a woman and you deserve, to be feminine. So, and men, if you have to take on a lot of feminine roles, you also need to ground yourself out with masculine activities. Okay, you can't turn into a woman, and the woman can't turn into a man, because they'll always be off balance. If you're trans or something like that, that's not really a thing, because you're already merged. You know what I'm saying? You're merged mentally and physically, but a lot of trans people do not merge spiritually. They feel like an outcast, or something is wrong with them, or something like that. But if you read about alchemy, you'll also be able to balance that spiritual side of things. You know what I'm saying? So if you're trans, bi, gay, lesbian, and you want to read about the sacred marriage, it can help you as well if you're coming out of the closet. It can help you understand a lot of things. It can help you feel good spiritually and not like an outcast, because as people, humans, we're supposed to be working towards the sacred marriage mentally, physically, and spiritually anyway. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's why in the fashion industry, you're going to see a lot of androgynous clothing coming out, because that's what everything is pushing towards, androgyny. Like, I feel like I look like Michael Jackson right now. But I feel like everything is headed in that direction. Of course, there are going to be more feminine and masculine traits of the androgyny, but in clothing stores, they're starting to have an androgynous section. If you haven't seen it, okay, it's there. So y'all think about that. Alchemy, spiritual alchemy, this stuff was written many years ago. Okay, this is not new. Okay, so just think about it. Like, before you judge, before you start pointing fingers and judging and talking about this and that, read an alchemy book. Okay, read an alchemy book and think about a lot of things before you judge. That's all I'm gonna say. That's why I'm not gonna judge anyone for their preference, how they want to look, how they want to dress, how they want to act, because we're supposed to merge masculinity and femininity inside, spiritually, mentally, and it is what it is. It doesn't change your sexual preference. That's a scale. So if you're worried about being seen as this way or that way, it's inner work. No one has to see it. So if y'all like this video, thumbs up. If y'all have any questions, thumbs up. If y'all want to get this book, I'll try to find a link for it and put it below. I don't sell this in my store, unfortunately. It doesn't sell through my store. But you can pick this up on most websites that sell books, okay? And I'll try to put a link down below where you can find it at. Okay, so I'll see y'all on the next video. Thank you for tuning in, and have a good day.